Brian's family lived very poorly. He wore old clothes, but he was confident and had an inquisitive mind, and for that he repeatedly received praise from the astonished teachers. His classmate Vivian disliked this newcomer from the first day of his appearance at school, and he irritated her immensely. Her father was a big shot in the city. He had a business, influential friends, real estate, and a beautiful wife. Vivian's favourite activity became teasing Brian and humiliating him in public. She found special pleasure in embarrassing him and setting other classmates against the boy. One day Brian went into the store before school to buy a bun for lunch. Suddenly Vivian spotted him and passed by demonstratively, and when she noticed the clutched change in Brian's hand, she hit him on the hand. Coins with a jingle scattered on the floor. "Oh, looks like someone's going to be out of lunch today," Vivian said with an angelic voice, and her eyes stared at Brian triumphantly. "Here, take it." She tossed $10 in the face of her hated classmate. "You'd sell your own mother for that kind of money, so take it while I'm kind." The crowd of schoolchildren laughed amicably, shouting derogatory remarks at the unfortunate boy. Brian had a hard time at his new school, and most of all, he was fed up with Vivian's attitude. He could not solve the question with her by force, like with the other boys, and thought that he was an easy victim, since he did not argue with Vivian. Brian didn't let the boys make fun of him. Several fights from which he emerged victorious had taught the bullies that it was better to stay away from the newcomer, or they would have to leave in disgrace. The boy and his sister and mother moved to the city from the village. The family no longer wanted to languish there, and Mrs. Thompson decided to move. The father of the family had been dead for 6 years. He was a skilled tractor driver, a respected man in the village, but oncology spares no one. It took away the family breadwinner. That is how Mrs. Thompson and her children ended up in the city. They rented a house on the outskirts of the city and began to adjust their lives. Brian immediately found a part-time job, working as a loader at a small grocery store nearby. It was not an easy job, but it provided a much-needed extra income to the family budget. Mrs. Thompson got a job as a cleaner, and Brian, as the eldest child, tried to help her in everything. The boy found solace in math, physics, and computer science classes. Most of his classmates had difficulties in these subjects, but not him. Teachers admired the gifted student and sent him to Olympiads and helped him find like-minded people. "Son, I'm so proud of you. You're my good boy, my hope," Mrs. Thompson babbled happily when she saw her child's grades. The woman was happy about her son's success because he became the best in the class, but because of the eternal lack of money in the family, old clothes and other views on life, Brian failed to achieve respect in class. He often envied those silly classmates who kept up with the times and looked modern. People paid attention to them. Girls sent them love notes, while he was alone in class. One evening there was a serious conversation between mother and son. "I've told you I'm not going. Why do you want to waste your money?" resented Brian, who did not want to discuss his true desire to be away at prom. "You don't need to think about the money," the mother coaxed him. "I'll get it, and we'll buy you a great suit. I want you to relax and have fun, too. It's a school prom. There'll be dancing, a concert." "It's a useless activity. I'm not interested," the boy repeated. "Nobody likes me there. I don't see any fun in propping up the walls all night." Almost 10 years have passed since those unpleasant and bitter school days. It was not a good time for Vivian's family. Her father became seriously ill and passed away. Her mother, who had always delighted the eye at society parties, turned out to be quite far from running a business. After several unsuccessful transactions, the company went bankrupt. Vivian was beyond angry with her mother. "Why are you doing this to me? Didn't you and Dad have any plan for an occasion like this? Why haven't you taken care of it?" "I've never worked and never intended to," screamed the girl in hysterics. The mere thought of having to report to someone and count the money made her terrified. "Honey, what can I do? Your daddy was our only hope. I can't do anything, and now I'm convinced of that. If you do nothing, we'll have to say goodbye to the house and rent a flat," almost cried the woman. Thanks to the reputation of her late father, Vivian got a job as a secretary in a trading company. But soon she got tired of listening to the reproaches of management and decided to use her other talents. Bernard, a 45-year-old director of the company, seemed to be the perfect candidate for the role of someone who would provide her with financial independence. The divorced, childless, balding man did not believe that happiness and adventure were still possible for him, but the sincere, as he thought, crush of the young beauty helped him to believe again in himself and that the women were still interested in him. "You're so reliable, so smart," whispered Vivian to Bernard, hoping to get married sooner. "No one professional can compare to you. Believe me, I've seen many in my father's company. I miss him so much sometimes, and you remind me of him. Dad always took care of me, and you make me feel like a little girl." "And I feel like a boy in love again. For you, I'm ready to move mountains," admitted the man, not seeing the catch of his young beloved's actions. "Soon we will get married, and everyone will be jealous of our happiness." After the wedding, Vivian got a taste of the luxurious life again. Expensive restaurants, resorts, and again she didn't care how much she wasted on beauty industry masters. But soon Vivian's fabulous life came to an end once again. One day Bernard came home completely drunk, and when Vivian asked what was wrong, he pushed some folders, a picture frame, and a glass of whiskey off the table in a burst of anger. "The owner of the company, the fool, anointed some youngster to take my place. He said that my methods were outdated, that I was not showing the right results. But I've given my whole life to this company. This is some guy named Brian Thompson. Never heard of him before. Where did they dig him up?" Hearing the name of a classmate she had mocked in her school days, the woman sunk pensively into a chair. A month passed. Bernard had been ousted as director after all, and now he was an ordinary manager with a modest salary. Vivian understood that now he was useless, old, and there was no need to hold on to him anymore. Desperate times called for desperate actions, and the woman decided to meet Brian face to face. She decided to try the same trick she had tried with Bernard. For her meeting with the new director, she chose a provocative outfit, hoping to charm him. She knew that Brian was single, and she hoped to make him fall in love with her and get rich again. "Brian, I'm glad to see you," she chanted as she burst into the man's office, not listening to the secretary's protests. The suit fits you. You look so solid in it." "Hello, Vivian. Are you here on business? I have a meeting in half an hour. I can't spare you much time," he replied in a business-like tone, putting folders of documents in his leather briefcase. "Why are you so cold to me? I'm just stopping by out of an old friendship. After all, you were such a brainiac in high school. No wonder you've risen so high." "Did you come to talk about the past?" asked Brian, looking questioningly at the woman who came over to his desk and sat down on the very edge, putting her leg over her leg. "Give me just 5 minutes. I really need your help," she said capriciously, patting her eyes with lush lashes. "I'm having some difficulties at work, and you're the big boss now. Don't leave your classmate in trouble. Help me. You may have heard, my father is dead. My mother and I are broke now, and she is often sick. All hope is on me, but I'm not used to hard work. Look at me." Vivian took Brian's hand. "I'm capable of doing anything for work." Why don't you help me?" "I will, of course, but currently all the jobs are filled. The company only needs a janitor. Will you come?" The man replied with a nice smile, and seeing how the affectionate expression on Vivian's face was replaced by anger and sass, she slid off the table, realizing that her efforts had no effect. Her eyes filled with angry tears. Everything she aspired to had collapsed. She could do nothing on her own. She was used to using others, relying on their hard work. She had spent all her energy and youth on an idle life, not caring that in the future her carelessness might crumble, and she would be left alone with reality. She should not have been frivolous about her studies, mocking people, because now no one will be kind to her. No one cares about the pathetic, bankrupt party girl, who without a powerful father is nothing of himself. Vivian hurried to leave the office of a man, but he called her when she already grabbed the door handle. "Wait, I have something for you." The woman turned around with hope in her eyes. Brian took his wallet out of his jacket pocket and pulled out a $10 bill on the table. Vivian turned pale. "What a rotten man you are," shouted Vivian. "I'm just paying you back," shrugged Brian. From then on, Brian never thought of Vivian again. He successfully coped with the duties of the director and earned the respect of his subordinates. During one of his holidays in the mountains, Brian met Holly. The girl could not figure out how to set up her tent, and he helped her. Their common interests and values quickly brought them closer together, and in 8 months Mrs. Thompson was already preparing for her son's wedding. 10 years later, Brian, a successful businessman, happy family man, and father of 3 children, received an invitation to a reunion of classmates. There, he met Vivian again. Life had shattered the woman strongly. She had not found the strength to overcome her problems. She drowned out her sorrows with alcohol and lived on the salary of a station cleaner.